It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Oh, welcome back, and the lights are still on. Whew,
Yeah.
we are lucky
Sigh of
today.
relief.
For now, and you know what, load shedding, it is back, and there's nothing worse than your computer suddenly switching off when you haven't even saved that document yet. You're busy with it, you're typing it up, but you could lose more than just your school or your varsity or your work assignment if you're not careful with your hardware during power cuts. Now, Bryan Smith, he joins us in studio to explore some simple ways that you can keep your tech safe the next time that load shedding strikes.
Brian, always good to have you here. But let's start with the very obvious, yeah? What sort of tech and gadgets and appliances should we unplug before load shedding even happens?
Definitely, and let's preface all of this by saying, let's hope that the lights stay on this week.
Yeah.
However, with appliances from, your conventional appliances at home, from fridges to dishwashers, for example, all the way to smart devices such as your laptops or smartphones, a generally good rule of thumb is to unplug everything if you know load shedding is about to occur.
Okay.
Specifically with appliances and some other forms of electronics such as desktop computers, most rely on something called vampire power, which isn't as esoteric or strange as it sounds. Essentially, that means that it's having a low current of electricity flow through it, even when it appears off. So generally, it's a good idea to turn this off to prevent a power surge from affecting various internal components, depending what device you're talking about.
Well, I think also what affects a lot of people is load shedding happens in the areas while they're at work. So your fridge is not something you can put off because the schedule said it might happen or not. Now, I know power surges it can damage a lot of your appliances, your devices at home. What kind of safeguard measurements can we put in place to prevent that?
Yeah.
There are a couple, fortunately. So perhaps the most commonly thought of thing on the market is something called a surge protector, which essentially regulates the amount of electricity flowing through a socket, for example. What that essentially means is that if there's a sudden spike in electricity, which can occur in a number of milliseconds, it can regulate and prevent that surge from affecting various internal components or otherwise damaging your equipment. A great idea is to buy a power bank, for example, with up to 7 sockets with a surge protector, which will enable you to turn off and secure multiple devices at once. Broadly, however, there are a number of other things you can do that can secure your work. For example, you can switch over to 3G or cellular internet, depending if your cellular provider isn't affected by load shedding itself, to keep your work going. And then additionally, you can always back up your data to ensure that your latest assignment is always securely stored on the internet.
Now, I've heard this UPS going around. What is UPS and how can we make use of it in our homes?
Definitely. So when we tend to think of batteries, we might think of a laptop or smartphone battery, which can last for a number of hours.
Yeah.
A UPS is slightly different, so that stands for uninterrupted power supply.
Okay.
And what this essentially is a piece of hardware that stores an electrical current, and it works for about 20 minutes to an hour, depending on the model. It essentially allows you to finish all of your work and ensure a safe shutdown on an appliance or smart device that you're using, rather than lose any work.
Okay, so this can be used at home. It's not just for offices.
Yes.
Oh,
I love
okay.
that. Some great tips and tricks coming through from Bryan Smith this morning. And of course, if you have any comments or questions around load shedding or when it comes to technology, you can always let us know on Facebook. You can head on over there with that hashtag Expresso Show. But Bryan, thank you so much for joining us this morning. There we go.